everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of Out of the Blue. We're looking today at whether or not your school should be considering outdoor advertising, and a specific question that I received on a recent masterclass that was to do with whether a school should be looking at putting some adverts on local buses, on bus routes. So sit back, grab your coffee. I hope you enjoy the conversation, and I'll be back at the end with a bit more information. Thanks for your time. Hi David, how are you doing?
Very good, Mark. Nice to see you.
And you, sir. Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Out of the Blue. We've got a great one for you this afternoon.
Yeah, can't wait.
As you know, I like to bring along questions that I get asked during the masterclass when I run them. And I ran one earlier this week and got some great questions like that I tried my best to answer, but there was one in particular I thought we'd bring to the episode because there's just quite a lot to it, really. I think there's quite a lot that we could chat through. So the title of the show today, because you probably don't even know that yet, the title of the show is Should I be doing outdoor advertising for my school? And the reason I've chosen that title is the question was from a state Catholic school that was going through a process. They were rebranding. They were at that point. They'd recognised a real need to market the school and get the name out there was the motivation they talked about. Okay, really try and get the name out. And they'd been told by someone, not clear who, that they should be considering bus advertising. So basically adverts on the back or the sides of the bus. The buses are driving around the local area, and that would get the name of the school out there. And their question was, should we be doing it? And that was the question that I tried to answer. I answered in my own inimitable fashion.
Yep.
And so I sort of touched on the whole, why are you doing it sort of thing, and what other things have you considered as the first point, because it seemed quite random. Bus advertising, there's lots of things you can do. Why sort of bus advertising? Have you come across it before?
Well, first question I would ask, and you've said why bus advertising, but first question I would ask is, do you have a marketing strategy, and how does it fit into that overall strategy? And I'm imagining that the question was, the answer was...
I can answer that. No, no, we don't have... No, there wasn't a strategy. There was... No, just that sort of comment that it looked like it was a good idea and that perhaps they should do it.
So I think it, and you see them, you see buses driving around, you see schools on the back of them or sometimes on the side of them. But for me, I think it's a good way to raise brand awareness within, a particular town community. But I have to question the people that are seeing it, whether they're going to respond to an advert on a bus, and the amount of time that you get to see it as it goes past. What is it you want somebody to do, or how would you like them to respond? Would you like them to write the number down that is on the side of the bus as it goes past?
Yeah,
it's a bit tricky. So, I think. I mean, we're talking obviously state Catholic school. I think it was state.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I would say there's got to be more economical, because it's not cheap, more economical ways of raising awareness of the school, or raising awareness of the school, and also ways to see the response and manage the response, and actually understand better the return on the investment that you're making.
Yeah, I mean, that's
you're not
tough.
talking a few £100, for a proper outdoor advertising campaign or bus campaign. So how do you, if you need to go back to somebody else in the school and say, this is what it's managed to do, all you can do is take pictures of the buses to say it was on the number 9 bus, on these days on this road. But you don't know the footfall, and I know the weather's been terrible recently. So how many people are actually, going to be looking at buses with the English weather?
I think the key there is the first point you made, that whole strategy idea, and I think that we call it outdoor advertising. It can be buses and it can be billboards sometimes, and bus stops and those sorts of things. And well, we've seen it done reasonably effectively as part of a strategy, as a small part of something that a school or a trust is putting together.
Yeah.
But often it's been done on the back of some really strong demographic research and knowledge of, precise areas really that the school is trying to target, and knowledge, knowing that, okay, we actually want to target this particular bus route because we know that the right demographic are commuting through that area, and we'll see that on a, quite clever stuff really that increases the chances that it's going to produce a return.
Yes.
But I think you're right. It's got to be we've done some bus advertising design, and I think it's some of the hardest things to design, because that whole call to action is very, just do a QR code and someone's trying to scan it. So it can be really hard to design, and the space is an odd space, and you've got the window, you've got to try and put that whole, vision and ethos of the school, and then a call to action underneath.
Yeah. For me, they've got to be part of a bigger campaign. Yeah. A brand campaign with a concept behind it. So the bus element is only one part of that campaign, and it's supported by A, B, C types of advertising as well, so that the population, the community, are actually seeing it in many places. They may see it in the local shops. They may see it in the local press. They may see it as part of Facebook campaign, ad campaigns, and then they see it on the bus as well. And then they see some train station posters, and then they, subliminally.
It's a brilliant word.
Out properly.
Go on, say it again.
No, subconsciously they are remembering the name of the school, the imagery that's seen, and it's just part of a bigger campaign overall. And I think that leads me on to something then, that you've got to start considering the photography that's taken for a bus advert. You can try to shoehorn your everyday photographs that you take yourselves, or even professional photographs that you've just had a nice selection of photographs taken. But actually, when you've got a campaign and a concept behind it, you need to start thinking about what the message is that you want, what you want it to say, and how does that imagery then support the message that's going out. Yeah. And it may be very different on a side of a bus and in a train station and in a magazine. The shapes and the sizes and the proportions of things. So there's more to consider than just having some adverts on the side of a bus or even on a bus shelter. So I think it has its place, and I think I think some of the best advertising is on bus shelters. I think there's some really clever campaigns on there. But for a state Catholic school, I do think there's better ways to spend money.
I think it highlights one of those main mistakes that I talk about in the masterclass, actually, and that is that very often schools get involved in advertising, marketing, without really having a goal as to what, or thinking that they've got a goal. So coming back to what you talked about strategy-wise, having that strategy, and the strategy is designed to do something, and if that is 10 more bums on seats, then great. But the issue is, lots of schools, when I talk to them, will say, oh, we should be doing social media, we should be doing bus advertising, we should have a banner on the roundabout round the corner. And it's sort of, well, they're all ideas, they're all things you could do, but what you've got to do is to decide what you're trying to achieve, and then decide on the best way of achieving that within the budget that you've got. That's what the strategy is all about. Yep. So talking to a school that is looking at outdoor advertising, but doesn't have any SEO, search engine optimization that we've talked about on a previous episode, doesn't have any digital marketing campaigns running to drive traffic to the website that they've just spent thousands of pounds on, I would say that was crazy. If you've invested the money in the website and the website has been designed well, then actually the first place you should be investing some money is getting people onto that website, because it's going to increase the return on investment that you've already made.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the advice that I would give someone. And I think the huge benefit of that sort of investment is that you really can measure a return from that. Digital marketing is a fantastic way of recognizing, the number of people that have clicked and number of people that have visited your website, the number of inquiries you received, and if your admissions process is working, like we talk about again in the course, you're going to know how many bums actually ended up on a seat in reception in September. You can sit with the governors the following year and say, well, guys, we invested this much money and we've increased funding by X amount because we directly got these extra children. And all of a sudden you're starting to build that trust in the process and trust in marketing. And it makes it easier then to decide and to get funding to do the clever and other things that you want to do.
Yeah. So I have to say, though, those masterclasses are so useful, because the questions that you get asked, and then obviously I know you give probably a slightly shorter answer than what we've given today.
You'd hope so. This is the whole class.
But it really, I can see, that schools can be making or heading down the path of making those mistakes and spending, what money they have, money they have on what is often a waste, a wasteful spend, marketing spend. And
schools aren't alone in that, though, David. I mean, I see commercial organizations doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, without having that strategy in place. So I'm just saying that your masterclasses are very worthwhile, and that schools should, sign up to one of them, because I think there's a lot of really great, valuable information in there that can, for a small cost initially, but can save thousands really in terms of wasted spend. So it was a good question. That I like that one, and I guess there's lots of tangents we could go off there, but I think we've answered it very well today, Mark.
Good. I'm glad. I hope people watching feel the same way.
Yes.
We have obviously more of these questions that have been asked, so we will bring some more to future episodes of the show. But for now, thanks, David. Thanks for your time. Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Nice
to see you, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, brilliant. I hope we've given you food for thought there, and it seems that much like lots of marketing and advertising channels, whether or not they're suitable for your school really depends on what you're trying to achieve and how they fit in with an overall strategy. So the key really is to make sure that you know why you're doing something and you know what it's designed to achieve. We've talked about that quite a lot in previous episodes as well. Okay, remember, I run my School Identity Masterclass once a month. It's a brilliant opportunity for anybody that's looking to start to get a handle on their marketing and communications for their school or their trust. It's an hour and a half online, and it provides you with the opportunity to step back and really assess how effective what you're doing is being at the moment. Okay, so if you're interested, use the information that's at the end of this clip and get in touch, and we'll get you booked onto one of those courses. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week, where we're looking at how you can blend the values of a multi-academy trust with the marketing and communication of a school within the trust without losing the character of that school. So really important question, something that we get questioned about quite a lot when we're talking to trust. So we'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Out of the Blue, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and leave a comment below, and please ring the bell for notifications. I hope I will see you again soon. Bye.